So again, we're going to reverse engineer the process of finding the graph of an equation. Now I'm going to give you the graph, and it's up to you to find the equation. We started off by finding the midpoint, or the midline of this graph, which in this case happens to still be the x-axis. So what we know from that is our d. And because we've shifted nothing from the x-axis, d is 0. Knowing d, we can find a. And a being slightly different from normal in this case, as I've identified a red section of this graph that we should look at, we're treating it as a cosine function. Cosine normally starting at the top of the graph, but in this case, I've identified the starting point right here. So that means we've also flipped this graph as well as stretching it, so a would have to be -3 in this case. B, the horizontal component, is derived from our period length. Well, if we have one trough here and one trough here, from 0 to pi, pi is also 180, so our period length is 180, and to find B, B is 360 divided by period length, so 360 divided by 180 tells us that B is 2. C is the starting point of the graph, and since I've identified this in red, it's a little easier to see. We've got a starting point right on the y-axis, so C would be 0. Putting those values into the equation, y equals -3 cosine of 2x minus 0 plus 0. Now those zeros are not necessarily by any means, so we can just put this as y equals -3 cos 2x.